All right. Welcome back to another episode of Brown Girls Sound Off. Oh my God. Can you all believe it's been a whole week since we've seen our audience? I mean, it like the days fly by. We have been spending the month of March talking all about Black and Brown girls' issues around identity, what it means to be a woman of color, what makes us proud, what our experiences are like, whether it's in our homes, in the workplace, out in our community. So we've done so much talking about, again, the Black and Brown experience from the woman's perspective. And so we are so honored to have a special guest with us tonight. I mean, I am just so excited to have Miss Adrienne Holloman. Chantel is actually going to introduce Adrienne to us all. So Chantel, please tell us all about the amazing, the talented, right? The empowering, the strong, intelligent Adrienne Holloman.
Well, you've already done an excellent job of introing her. So Adrienne Holloman is the president and founder of Discovering Treasures Life Coaches. She is an entrepreneur, a motivator, a life coach, author, minister, and executive strategist. Her mantra is, you are the architect of your life. You have the ability to create the life of your dreams. Through individual coaching, seminars, workshops, and mastermind groups, her creativity, experiences, and spiritual insight stirs up gifts and talents and empowers participants to dream big and do bigger. So welcome, Adrienne Holloman.
Oh my God. You know what? I gotta give a whole hand clap. I mean, I felt that in my soul, the whole stirring up, dreams. Okay, we need that in our space. So thank you so much for being here with us. So, Adrienne, I'd really love for you to, tell us a little bit more about your work and how you actually center women of color in your work, and maybe even why you feel it's important to do so.
Okay. So as Chantel mentioned from the bio, I am a life coach. I've been a life coach for, I don't know, 10, 12 years or whatever it is, but I've been coaching all of my life. I am an author. I wrote a motivational journal called I Am Because I Say I Am, transformed by the power of positive affirmations. And so I do it because I believe that women, Black women, women of color, our brown girls, that they are amazing. One of my favorite sayings are, I am amazing. And so I believe that they are amazing. And many times they don't believe that they're amazing. And so they need to hear it and they need to know that they are amazing. So in working with our folks, when I'm working with women, I'm telling them and reminding them of who they are. I help them to dig deep. I help them to go back and remember when the dream was possible. Mm-hmm. So, many times as you're living this thing called life will knock the wind out of you. And whatever you were dreaming, dreams are usually the first thing to go. They're the first thing that goes on the shelf because right now, all I'm trying to do is survive. Mm-hmm. And you can't survive and dream at the same time. Mm-hmm. Dreaming comes for the thriving.
I know that's right.
So, I get them many times they're still in just existence. They're still just living. Mm-hmm. And so I go in and I help them to stir up that gift, help them stir up that excitement, help them to believe again, help them to hope again, and know that whatever they lay their hands to, it will prosper. Whatever comes to their mind that they want to do, that they can do it. Mm. And so that's what I believe, and that's what I help people to see. So usually when they leave me, they're like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah, right.
And so that's where I get my energy from. Every time a light bulb comes on, I'm energized.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, you just gave me life. I want to ask you, when you share the title of your journal, right? So you said it is called I Am Because I Say I Am. How powerful is that? I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more. Tell us all a little bit more about how you came out with that title, what inspired you to write such a journal. I know that, in one of our previous episodes, we talked about the power of women of color now taking more control of our destinies and of our identities, because so much of the way that we've seen ourselves has been dictated by the way that others have seen us, right? And in a lot of ways, I'm sure, as you know, that we take on those identities, we take on the attachments to those identities based on what people say we are. And so I'm in love with the fact that you actually wrote an actual journal with that title, but I'd love to hear from you. Tell me more about what inspired you to write that.
So I can't take credit for it because I heard the title. I just heard it. I am because I say I am. And I'm a strong believer of affirmations. And I believe that what you say is what you get, that your words are powerful and that they are creative. They're a creative force all by themselves. So whatever it is that you say, you're going to have. There's a quote that says, whether you say you can or you can't, they're both true. Mm-hmm. Whichever way you believe, that's what you get. And so we've been so conditioned to believe what people tell us. Mm-hmm. So whether it was a well-meaning parent that said, you don't need to go to school because da 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 da, or you'll never do this because da 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 da. And so we've gotten all of that into our psyche. Or we tried to do something at one point and it didn't work, and someone said, see, and then we said, see, and so we don't try it again, right? But when you begin to change the way that you think and the way that you speak, then your life changes. And so what I did is, in the journal, I gave prompts. So again, one of my favorite prompts is I am amazing. And so I tell folks to see, say, do. So you see it, you write it, you put it around so that everywhere that you see it, right? You see it all day. You see it on your phone. It's your screensaver. Where are all the places that you see it? When you see it, you draw that thing. So you will have what you see, right? And so when you see it, you're drawing that picture. And so you're drawing it. But also when you say it, you're creating the power to make it happen. And then when you say it, you also see it because you hear the words and it continues to play that picture on your mind, on the screens of your mind. So you're doing double fold of seeing it and you're saying it. And then I say to do it. What does it look like when you do it? So I don't leave them at just saying it. Many times we have with affirmations, I also tell folks that when you're using affirmations, when you say that I am beautiful, I am gifted, if you don't believe that, tell me why you don't believe it. Because we have to go back and get rid of that so that we can replace that with why you do believe it. We want to replace this with, now the truth is you are gifted, you are powerful, you are bold. So all those other things that were negative mindsets that weren't serving you well, that had you stuck wherever you are, we want to remove those and replace them with what you now believe, which is the fact that you are gifted, you are powerful, you are bold, you're able to do anything that you set your mind to do. Ooh. So that's how we came up with I am because I say I am. And it's funny because I had one of my church sisters, whenever I would put a post with it, she would put, I am what God says I am. I am because God says I am. And I'm like, that's absolutely true. But he gave me the power to decree a thing and said it would be established. And many times I grew up in church and I was a minister all my life, it seems like, since my teenage years. So I understand church, right? So many times we're waiting on God and we're blaming God for all the things that didn't happen. And so when someone corrects you and say, well, no, because God said, yeah, God did say it, but he gave me the power and he's waiting for, he made my hands to war. He's given me the ability to do it. Even if I never have to go to the battle, he readied my hands for the battle.
I know that's right.
So it's just in me getting ready and the to-do that makes it happen instead of just sitting back waiting, because the sitting back waiting makes you depressed. It takes the energy out of you and you become hopeless. Well, I guess they forgot about me. It's not about they. They have no control. They only have the control that you give them.
Ooh, you are speaking a whole word. I mean, you know what, honestly, you're speaking a whole word. And what I'm thinking about is, is how, victimhood shows up in our community. and it allows self-fulfilling prophecies to actually come true, right?
Yes.
And you're right. And then there's like this whole like stereotype thread of again what I ought to be, what I ain't, or what I think I'm
Mhm.
not, you know, in ways that we then actually hold ourselves back because we, like you said, we don't realize the power that we already have. And I do believe, I mean, I know that we're not going this deep in this podcast episode, but I do believe a lot of times, especially in our community, we can and I'm a believer as well. I'm a Christian woman, and I believe sometimes that we blame God for things that are not happening, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And but then sometimes we wish to take all the credit for things that are happening. But in many ways, either way, I think that we're not thinking about where power comes from and
Right.
how power is harnessed even through
Right.
us. Like you said,
Right.
God gives us power to actually do the things that we need to do in our
Mhm.
lives. And
Mhm.
so when we sink back into that comfortable place, and I think in many ways our community has normalized struggle and being complacent. And what it seems you're suggesting is no, take your life, you know, by the
Mhm.
reins, and you better ride that thing and tell us
You
where to
better ride
go,
it.
right?
Mhm. Mhm. But you know what? It's interesting because they talk about the strong Black woman, but they really don't want her to arise to her strength.
Listen.
She's strong because of the struggle, not
Mm.
because of the wealth, and not because of all the things that she can or will accomplish. But she's strong
Ooh.
because she put up with all y'all stuff,
Yeah.
even when y'all were trying to beat her down and take
Mm-hmm.
the life out of her. She stood up, but
Mm-hmm.
she did not rise.
Mm-hmm.
She stood, but didn't rise.
Mm.
Ah, mm,
I love that. And I think what you're speaking to is a mindset shift that we've got to take
Mhm.
on within ourselves first, because you're right, that's like a badge of honor. Like who can stand in the midst of the storm and withstand the storm? And yes, like absolutely, I'm glad, sis, that you didn't fall. And how are you going to get through it? You know what I mean? Like, let's
Right,
not just stop the celebration there. Let's not
right.
just, give out these medals of honor at how well you can struggle, how well you can
Mhm.
withstand,
Mhm.
hardship. But like you
Mhm.
said, what is it that actually takes us to the next level?
Right,
Of coming out of that hardship and turning those lemons into lemonade. We don't.
right.
I feel like our accolades, they stop at a certain point. We miss a real opportunity to tap into what it actually looks like to be strong, right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? And the
Yes.
ways that
Mhm.
strength shows up, not just in withstanding the storm, but coming out of that storm, right? And becoming your own storm, sis, with all those moves you're gonna be making. You get what I'm saying? So you can say, I am the storm. What you talking about storm? What are you talking about? That's
You
amazing.
that's what I tell folk all the time. Well, they didn't invite me to the table. They didn't invite me. Well, that's okay. Create your own table.
Listen.
When you're sitting at the top of those lists where they have the billionaires and the
Mhm,
millionaires,
mhm.
you set the table and then you say who you're inviting. And then
I
people
was
are asking you, can I come to your table? What
mhm,
is it that you need? And
mhm,
that's how we're going to change our culture because we're creating tables
mhm.
full of wealth, millions and billions, and we're seated at them.
Yes.
Right? And so then we're
Saying that.
controlling, we're changing all the dynamics. We're not
Yes.
getting the bread, we're not getting the crumbs.
Mhm.
We're serving,
Woo. What you say?
we're serving.
She
We're
said,
at
"Well,
the
sir,
head of
ain't
that
that
table.
look? That one flipped by and went behind a little." Like, I had to, yeah. You know what? Okay, so
You know, when Warren Buffett or Oprah calls a meeting, everybody wants to know, can I come? Can I come?
absolutely, absolutely, and that's what each of us has the power to do, is to command
Absolutely.
that sort of like, not just attention. It's not about that, but to command that respect based
That's
on what
right.
it is you're bringing, not just to the
That's
table, but
right.
the table
That's
you're
right.
bringing to this meeting. I
That's
mean,
right.
I really am inspired by the work that you are doing. I mean, I'm just like literally glowing over here. And so I want to open up for some discussion from our lovely panel members, Miss Edwina Jones and Chantel and Nafisa. I want to open it up because, we think about Adrian's work, and she's doing a lot, right, to inspire and uplift our community. I mean, she's giving me a whole word I was not prepared to hear, honey. I want to know, like, what do you all feel, like kind of gets in our way sometimes of manifesting, the type of wealth that Adrian speaks of? Because it's monetary or financial wealth, but it's also the wealth of living in an abundant life, of abundance of happiness and feeling content and feeling like I'm not just enough, but I'm more than enough, right? So we can think of wealth in many ways. What do you think gets in our way of actually taking on this mindset? And I want us to think about like what Adrian's doing is she's also pouring into other people. So what do we think also gets in our way of lifting up each other in this way? I feel like we can never have enough Adrians. Like we need more and more sisters who are doing this. And I know there are many of us out there, and I know many of us aren't getting the credit, that we're due. And what I know that there are some things that get in our way sometimes of lifting each other up in the way that Sister Adrian is doing. So what do you all think about this?
I'm speechless. But I feel like fear is like the number one culprit when it comes to what's standing in our way. I feel like it's really us, and it is a mindset change that needs to happen. Because, and I'm speaking from like my personal situation where it's like everyone tells me, like all these great things, like you can do this and you're doing it and everything, but it's still like this fear that it seems to be like a blockage that's happening that is hard sometimes to kind of overcome. And I guess it is that mindset to affirm, but not just to speak. Not just to really say like, I'm great, I'm amazing, and I can do all things, but it's like the action also needs to follow. And I think sometimes we do stop at the fear of like, what if I don't make it? What if I fall? And it's the what ifs that stop us from even attempting to take the step forward. And so I definitely feel like that's what it is. And I also feel that it's not, I guess, seeing a lot of people that looks like us doing the things. And I think a representation definitely plays a part as well. Like when I don't see a lot of people for these positions that I want to go out to, it does once again kind of like building up that fear, like, well, they didn't do it, So like, how do I know I'm going to be successful in that position, or whatsoever it is? So I would say fear.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Nafisa. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You can go.
I was just gonna speak to what Edwina just shared, and the only thing I just wanted to add is fear can just be so paralyzing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It can be so I mean, you just spoke to me, and that's just kind of what I wanted to do, was affirm for you that your experience obviously is real and it's so widely shared. And I don't think we talk about that enough in our community, like the fear of failure. And I mean, that could be a whole different episode in terms of like where that fear even comes from, because there's so many expectations placed on us from literally everywhere. And so I, speaking from my perspective, just that feeling of I must make it. And so if I, I'm not going to jump out there and look stupid, and so I want to affirm for you that fear can be so paralyzing. At times. Nafisa, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was going to kind of just piggyback on what Edwina was saying as well. And fear was one of the first things that came to my mind too. And I think that's very real. And like you said, it is paralyzing, it's crippling. And I think that part of it goes back to that whole phrase that no longer serves us, just like, having to be the strong Black woman, like, I can't look like I'm falling apart. Like I have to have it together, and we feel like that. I feel like in all of our roles, whether we're at work, whether we're at home, whatever, whatever role that we're in that day or how we're showing up, I think we always feel like we have to live up to that. And we're afraid to look like we don't have it all together, or to look like we don't have the answers, or to not succeed. And so I think fear is a big part of it, but then also just like being comfortable, and I know my dad always says, I've seen it a lot on different things, like life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's like we're so used to leaning into that comfort And, you know, we know that we're comfortable here and we know what to expect here, but then just like the fear of the unknown and not knowing what's going to happen. You know, if we step out on this leap of faith and we pursue some things that we're really passionate about, and go out and, you know, go out on a leap of faith and pursue things and walk in our power and things that we really, really, truly want to do, then maybe we're not getting in our workplace that we have our 9 to 5 that we know we're going to get that paycheck every couple of weeks, you know what I mean? But if you go out on your own, it's like, well, what am I going to do if I can't get the money? You know what I mean? It's all these different fears that come up. So I think it's a combination, definitely, you know, of the two. And one of the things that Adrian said that really resonated with me, it was just like, you know, we go through all these struggles, but it's like, are we rising? Are we rising above? And, you know, how are we rising and coming out of, you know, our struggles and learning from them and growing from them? And it made me think of that quote where it's like, it's just something like, you know, well, what if I fall? And it's like, oh, darling, but what if you fly? You know, yeah. So we have to lean more into that, like stop having a fear, like, oh, I'm going to fall. How about just think like, I'm going to fly, like I'm going to succeed, I'm going to rise. So that's what made me think of.
That's such a beautiful quote, sis. Thank you for sharing that.
I think for us, it goes back to the affirmation, even from us young Black and brown girls, from babies on up. I think about, you know, the lack of our maybe mom or dad or family members raising us who poured that affirmation and spoke those words of life and positivity over us, right? And you can tell the difference when, you know, you've been having people that speak life into you versus people who haven't. And versus now you as an adult, you know, trying to speak life and affirm yourself, right? And just how, again, we all, I think, talked about what that fear looks like. And I think I'll even go a little bit further to say, you know, one of my fears is, am I enough for this? Right? Like that struggle internally, like not feeling like you're enough. Right. And dealing with that as a woman, you know, trying to be successful and also defining what that success looks like for you and realizing, well, my success and their success is two totally different things. And so going in within and challenging yourself to, like all of you ladies said, trust ourselves and believe in ourselves and affirm ourselves, but then also have people around us like Adrian who come along and give us that push that we need to fly, right? Mm-hmm. So just knowing the importance of having that positive motivation, people who affirm us, people who uplift us as Black and brown women within our communities so that our identities can begin to change from not feeling like we're not enough to like realizing we are powerful, we are strong, we can overcome that fear, but we need more people like Adrian. We need more.
Yeah, you know, and the thing that I'm thinking about, you know, and this is just, you know, from my perspective and thinking about like the spaces that I kind of move in and out of, I actually think that we have a lot of, you know, Black and brown women who are doing a lot of amazing work. Like, mm-hmm. I mean, I know personally many of them and I see them all over social media, the ones that I, you know, don't quite know as well. What I think our focus should, from my perspective, what our focus should be on is collective action, right? So how is it that we come together, right? And we harness all this energy together? Because Sister Adrian is very, very powerful. She just spoke life into me that got me wanting to like jump up out my seat right now. And I know how powerful Nafisa is. And I know how powerful Chantel is. I know how powerful Edwina is. I know the power I possess. And so like, what could happen if we continue to operate in the same spaces intentionally and pouring life into one another and then saying, all right, it's 5 of us on this call. How about next time we go grab 5 more? How about next time, you know, we set up a whole, you know, thing where we're coming together and we're like pouring all that power into a pot. What would that look like? You know what I mean? So I think in terms of what gets in our way, I think that everyone has shared things that really resonates with me. And I think that fear also plays a part in us not doing that, what I just described. I think there's this fear because Edwina touched on it when Edwina said that, you know, representation matters, right? So when you don't quite see people that look like you, the way I've internalized that is there must be only a certain number of spots that they're going to let us brown folk occupy. So that means I need to get one of them spots, right? And I'm speaking very like metaphorically here, but you get what I'm saying when you don't see a lot of people that look like you, and especially depending on the spaces that you're moving in, right? So when I'm thinking of my experience in a predominantly white institution, for example, and there aren't many of us who look like me in leadership positions, I'm thinking, well, dang, if there's another Black woman in this applicant pool, then I need to outdo her because they ain't gonna let two of us come in. They're not gonna say, all right, well, dang, we like both of y'all, so one of y'all be this and one of y'all be that. That's the way that my mind, was thinking. And sometimes that's the way it thinks now, not on that level, because now I work for myself. And so now I'm just trying to bring as many Black and brown women on as I can. But when I operated in certain spaces, and even now operating in the world in certain spaces, that stuff is deep, and we've got to work to dismantle this competition and lean toward cooperation. And that way we can get more stuff done together. I see Sister Adrian's like, yeah, let me jump on in there. Are we speaking the truth or what?
You are speaking the truth. One of the things I think about all the time, and we talked about the fear. So many times is fear of rejection. And it's also fear of rejection by those who are sitting right beside us. Mm-hmm. So we can't do it together because we're afraid that my friend right here is not going to receive me, or my friend over here is not going to like, or I don't look like this one. There is power in authenticity. Mm. You've got to be who you are. I refuse, and this is one of the issues. If you look at my flyers and stuff, I refuse to be the one that goes, hey, all the coaches are, what? I'm not that girl. And the people I'm called to appreciate that. But we train our women that we all got to be divas. Mm-hmm. And we all have to have this same look. And then when we wonder why we're not married, because some of our husbands are not looking for that diva girl. Ooh. Ooh. Right? And so the people that we're called to, many of the people that we're called to can't hear our message when we show up inauthentic. Mm. So I can look like someone else, but it's going to be like people can't hear it because it's confusion. It's like wah wah wah. Something's not clear, right? And so we have to be comfortable in ourselves, who we are. Mm-hmm. This is who I am. I don't apologize. I'm sorry, my nails are a little raggedy, but I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I might get tips, I might not, and it's okay. So if you don't receive me, I'm not called to you. And it's okay. Because there's a whole bunch of people who are waiting to hear my voice, who are going to accept me the way I am. Edwina, there's a whole bunch of women who are waiting to hear your voice. And they are going to accept Edwina the way she is. And it's a good thing because your power is in who you are. Instead of trying to make it and change so they all accept you. No, baby. Just be. Just be. That's where your power is.
Accept it.
Woo! Look, that part, right?
My goodness. I needed this tonight. I tell you that.
Listen, look, a podcast and turn into a whole counseling session. So it's a group therapy, honey.
It's a right on time situation.
Group coaching. No, I mean we really appreciate that. Because I think about just us on this call and many others within the BGSO group, and knowing that many of us are feeling like we're at that crossroads, right? Where we want to take command of our own lives and our careers and our destinies, but we're afraid to make that step. That's why this episode was so important to have you on, because so many of us have a lot of self-doubt. And you're right. And we're worried about what people are thinking. I mean, I think about, like I said, I'm self-employed full-time, and I look at other consultants and what they're doing, and they got all these big old teams and I mean, all kinds of stuff. The flyers start moving and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like I'm over here doing my best. But you're right, though. The moment I started walking in my truth and just showing up like, listen, I don't come with bells and whistles. But what I will make sure that happens is that you're going to walk away feeling connected, equipped, and empowered to go out in the world and do good. That's what you're going to
Yep.
do when you
Right.
leave from a session with Tony.
That's right.
And so
That's
I
right.
don't have a budget for a marketing team, but what I do have is a unique skill set, and that's what I bring to the table. And so, you know, but it wasn't until I had to like command like myself. It was like I was the runaway horse. You know, I was the wild horse. My mind was just going everywhere. I had to snatch it back up and be like, girl, if you don't stop it, you know, if you don't stop it and get control of your thoughts, the way that you think about yourself, because that controls how you show up. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
I want to talk a little bit. I want us to talk a little bit about just that. Like, if you know, if you were talking to another woman of color who, you know, like many of us, if not all of us, I'll speak like me, you know, experiences these bouts of self-doubt, and it has a lot of internalized stuff, internalized depression, internalized negative thoughts to dismantle. Like, what would you share with her? What would you say? So I want to open it up for everyone. What would you say, you know, to that person, even if that person is you? What would you say?
I think I would just say that it's okay to be you. And like, no one is you. Like, we all are unique in our own way. And like you said, we all bring different skill set, you know, different opinions, different viewpoints to the table. And it's like, we look around, I feel like we compare so much, and comparison is the thief of joy. And we are comparing ourselves so much to the next person that we lose sight of really like who we are. And you know, who we want to be, how we want to show up. And I think just understanding and realizing that it's okay to be you, whatever you like to do. Like she said, if you don't like to wear nails or wear makeup, then don't do that, sis. If you want to wear your afro, you want to straighten your hair, you want to wear a weave, however you want to show up. I just think just being, like she said, the authenticity and just being yourself and showing up just authentically how you are, and pursuing what you really are passionate about, and just making sure you're heard. Don't let people silence you.
Thank you. Chantal, what might you say?
I would say that to take that time to do that internal work and really connect with yourself. And I think out of that space, that identity will come. And I think for me, I'm in that season of, if you don't see yourself in that market or in that community, create your own table. There's a unique.
Uh-oh. She got muted.
She actually muted herself.
Is important. I'm sorry, guys. Did I? You know, there's an authenticity that you bring that's really important to connect to who your audience is. And so when Adrienne was talking about that, that really resonated with me, is because someone is waiting on your voice. Someone is waiting on your authenticity. Someone is waiting for you to show up in who you fully are. And we have to get past that fear and those doubts, and sort of just, like you said, we just got to get out there and fly and make it happen. So.
Thank you. How about you, Edwina?
I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking that self-work is definitely where it starts. It definitely starts with self, and knowing who you are. What is it that you want? What are your goals? Getting back to your dreams, like Adrienne was saying. I think that's so important, that life does take over, and it does kind of just squelch the things that we once dream of, the things that we want to do. And I think we do need to get back to that place where just do the work on self. And I'm speaking for me. You know, I think that I have let life kind of just take over and control me for so long that now it's like I'm sitting back and it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what do I want? You know, what do I want to do? Who am I? Like, what is it that what legacy do I want to leave? And so that's the work I am now doing. And so before I can pour into any other woman, it's like I have to pour within myself, because they say you cannot pour from an empty cup. If I have nothing to give, it has to start with me. Like, I do have to do that work for myself. And then I'm able to connect and bring other Black and brown women on and say, hey, sis, like I was once you, I was once there too. And this is what I did. And it worked for me. If it worked for me, it can work for you, and then we can definitely get this work done collectively, like you said, but got to do the self work.
Wow. I mean, that was very, very powerful. I was thinking about, like, one thing that I would say to anyone who is watching or listening to this, who may be experiencing self-doubt, and or is like working through some stuff to dismantle some stuff internally, I would say to don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because, when I think about when Adrienne was talking about, like, manifesting your dreams, manifesting your goals, and taking control of your life, and being who you say you are, I think I kind of, go back to that fear thing. If we're afraid to mess up, what we've got to do is just, come on, let's just mess up a couple of times, so that we can see that, it didn't kill us. Like, do not be afraid to make mistakes. And so then part 2 of that would be to show self-compassion. And so I shared in our group as I believe like a comment or something like that around, it might have been something Chantal had said, and then I like reshared it or something like that. But anyway, my comment was a tip a strategy that I shared that I learned at a cognitive-based compassion training that I took in 2019. And there was a really, really simple strategy, and that is to write yourself a compassionate letter, giving yourself advice as if you were talking to a friend, because studies show that we're way more compassionate. Like, girl, it's okay, dust your shoulders off. That's how we talk to our girlfriends. It's all right, girl, try again, you still the bomb, I still love you. But we don't say those things to ourselves. So show yourself some compassion. And I just wanted to share that one way that you could do that. Sister Adrienne, how about you? What would you say to someone?
I love what you were just saying about compassion, but my initial one again is to dream big. Because again, we don't. If I have a room of 10 women and I ask them what are their dreams, you can rest assured a third of them have none. And they have to think about it. And you'll say, what do you want? And they don't know. They've not taken time to do that. So I tell people to take time to dream. Plan into it. If you're like, oh, I don't dream at night, I'm not a dreamer, that's okay, daydream. Find yourself a brook, sit by the water, go to the mountains, put on your jazz music, whatever you need to stimulate, and just be still and just listen. And then once you begin dreaming, if you can do that dream today, it's not big enough. I send you the dream again, because the dream is always bigger than you and it will outlive you.
Wow. Ooh. Oh my gosh. If you only knew like how much you have just poured into us on this call, but also into everyone who is watching this. I guess that's the beauty of not just social media, but like digital media these days. Like, we get to share these types of experiences and conversations with the entire world. And so in that respect, I'm very, very, very happy. And so for those of you who are listening, or especially if you're watching and you're watching on social media, on Facebook and the BGSO group, or on YouTube, please drop us a comment. I mean, I would love to learn more about some of your dreams. And don't forget what Adrienne said. She said to make these dreams big. If you can do it today, then it ain't big enough, right? So I would love for you to share some of these dreams of yours. If anything that any of us have said tonight really resonated with you, and you're like, oh my gosh, me too, we love to hear that we're not alone. So please make sure that you let us know that as well. Adrienne, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, how can we reach out to you? If you have a website, social media presence, any upcoming projects, we would love to support you. So please let us know all about that good stuff.
So you can find me on Facebook. I'm Discovering Treasures Life Coaches. I'm on Instagram as DT Dream Coach. Clubhouse Coach Adrienne, and I have a website, Discovering Treasures Lifecoaches.com.
Ooh, and I have to check out that journal. I mean, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a conversation that has like filled my cup. I mean, I see the ladies going like this. So it is filled all of, we got a whole bucket, a reservoir of just love and power. And again, that is what Brown Girls Sound Off is all about, right? So we're not just sounding off and speaking out about, issues and experiences that we go through. We're also listening to one another and taking in, lots of good stuff. Because I mean, after all, we gotta be ready to chase those big old dreams that Adrian has tasked us with dreaming up. So we need all the love and power that we can get. Thank you all again for tuning in, and thank you again, Adrian, for being here with us this evening. Absolutely. Hope to see you all again. All right. Peace out, everyone.
Thank you.